Hello, Virtual Assistant Africa. Welcome to today's virtual conversation show. I'm so thrilled about today's discussion because it's a discussion that is so dear to my heart. As you all know, as Virtual Assistant Africa, the whole objective is for us to empower you and to equip you to be confident when becoming a virtual assistant, yeah, and when doing your business. So, as you know, some of us might be parents as virtual assistants, and sometimes it can be difficult to have a proper work-life balance, or even so, be able to raise our children while working from home. So today we have a very special guest by the name of Maria. I'll let her introduce herself in just a bit. She's a parental coach, and I happened to have a session with her. She was helping me out with parental tips so that I can be able to be a good virtual assistant and also be able to balance work and parenting as well. And I'm your host today, Stella Maneki, the CEO of Stella Project and the co-founder of Virtual Assistant Africa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Natapov. As Stella mentioned, I am a certified parenting coach. And my specialty is to really help families with transitions and to find success strategies when it comes to potentially challenges in the home, maybe work-life challenges, maybe challenges with regard to kiddos and various potentially obstacles that there might be, especially given so many demanding priorities that parents are having to juggle these days in particular. So in a nutshell, that's me.
That's really awesome because I had challenges with sleeping patterns for my little one and also feeding my older one. And Maria was really, really helpful. And I realized sometimes as parents, we actually need a coach to help us through our parenting seasons, yeah, irrespective of the ages of our children. So I'm really glad that Maria is here. And Maria, maybe you can tell us, and even for the virtual assistants out there, you offer your services virtually, parental coaching virtually.
Absolutely, that's right.
And I'm emphasizing this because as virtual assistant, we're used to the traditional virtual assistant services like data entry or even just email management. But hey, I've been telling you guys that we have specialized services, and that is what Maria does. So tell us, what does your day look like? And how do you find clients?
Yeah, it's a lot of networking, obviously. It's also reaching out to various organizations with whom I am aligned, like pediatrician offices, therapists, schools, daycares, things like that. And, basically, just putting yourself out there is really the key, I would say. Right. And having really solid content, providing value, I've also found is extremely important because it helps to build trust, and it also helps people to understand what it is I do and how I could potentially benefit them or be of service to them. So they would be more likely to reach out. I don't really want to do hard sells. That's not, my style. So I would rather provide value and put content out there and sort of allow people to see me. And then if it's a good fit, or if it seems like there is, cohesion between what I do and what they need, then hopefully that would, encourage them to reach out to me.
Okay. Excellent. And just let us know, as an expert, as a parental coaching expert, why is it important for virtual assistants to have a good work-life balance and also to be very keen on their parental roles? Because most of the time when I'm in the house, I'm working from the house, I imagine that I'm parenting. But from our last session, you told me that every child requires quality time. So why is it really important for us to have a good work-life balance and to be keen on our parenting roles?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Stella, and thank you for asking it. I think today, more than ever, not only for virtual assistants whose jobs are designed to be virtual, but I think most people these days are probably finding themselves working virtually, even if they didn't necessarily intend to be. And with kids, a lot of times doing
Correct.
virtual school as well with just the pandemic, I think it's particularly important to really establish healthy boundaries, not only for the children and to provide them with what they need, but to provide yourself with what you need in order to really have space and time to bookend your day so that you're not continuously working around the clock, right? Because that can be very easy. I think we've all, at least those of us who weren't virtual, I think it's safe to say I've heard lots of people realize that they're just working all the time and they're getting completely burnt out. And so it's particularly
Yes.
important, yes, to set those boundaries very clearly and put specific things in place to help you really identify and stick to a particular start time and a particular end time. And it doesn't mean that there can't be more flexibility to that. It's just really important to follow through on taking those breaks for yourself and for your family in order to make sure that you can bring your best foot forward to everything and that you are creating balance, because it's just really important for mental health and overall well-being in order to establish those things. I'm not sure if I've completely answered your question. Feel free to follow up with another
Yeah,
one, Stella.
that's actually very insightful because from what I'm getting, it's important to have a schedule so
Okay.
that you can incorporate your self-care routine as well, and also have time just for your parents. I mean, for you as parents, and time for children. So that's pretty cool. And I'm just curious. Sometimes when we're having meetings, our children come around, you know, when you're working from home, and sometimes they're noisy, or maybe they just don't stick to that schedule. What's the best way to discipline our children and make things smooth when you're working virtually?
Yeah. So obviously thinking through the schedule, even for the kids, and setting up an environment that can help them to have specific times. And the more that we create this consistency, the more kids fall into that schedule. It actually helps them with their own anxiety and to create structure, which feels more predictable. And also the more consistent and the more predictable, the more that they're going to adhere to the schedule, right? Because that's just one of the ways that kids learn is that predictability, that consistency. It helps to kind of develop that innately in them. On top of that, I think it's really, really important to have self-compassion, right? Everybody understands that these are unprecedented times. Daycare is not as readily available. Even help maybe at the house is not readily available. And people have limited resources, and it's just really important to be able to show grace and just be very transparent. I think transparency is the key. It seems, most people are understanding, especially when you have little ones, that they're going to come around. They're going to want time with mommy. But also, you can, when you think through the schedule and the environment and setting it up, you can also, talk to them about, here is mommy's workspace when the door is closed. It's important to respect that. But having understanding that with little ones, it's going to take them some time to adjust, and that's okay. And if they really need you, being available to them is really important. It could be like a couple of minutes check-in. Maybe they just want a hug or a kiss. And as much as that can be difficult to juggle, I think it's really important because kids also are having a tough time adjusting with everything going on. And even though it might seem like they don't fully understand what's going on, kids are very perceptive and they feel energetically a lot of what's happening. I think we're all impacted by it to a much greater degree than we realize. I think most of the time we're in survival mode and we're moving through our day and we're trying the best that we can to, keep everything together, which is fantastic, but it takes a toll, and kids understand this as well, and they can sense that things are not, the way that they were before everything started. So just having lots of grace and self-compassion and understanding there's going to be moments where it's going to be unpredictable, and that's okay. And, just really owning that and being confident in knowing that it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your meetings are still valuable. It doesn't have, they don't have to be uninterrupted by children, right? Like everybody has lives. It's okay.
Yeah. Mm. Wow, those are a lot of nuggets. So I hope Virtual Assistant Africa, you're taking notes and you'll apply this with your parenting role. And this pandemic has been very sad for some of us. Yeah, some parents have actually lost lives. You know, and the children are also living in their house because again schools have been closed, there's lockdown. I believe the same is happening in your country as well. So and then some parents could have been affected by COVID and they're under quarantine. So some children might be going through traumatic experiences, including maybe even some are infected and then they have to be quarantined, or they're not used to being in the house like 24/7.
Yeah.
So they might be going through a traumatic experience, or sometimes even maybe the children are under the care of an abuser. Either a parent is an abuser or maybe a caregiver somewhere. So being an expert in parental coaching and specializing with traumatic experiences with children, what would you advise us to do, especially if we sense that our kids have gone through some trauma in our home?
Yeah.
How should we handle that?
Absolutely. I think the best thing that you can do is recognize that, be transparent, help them to identify it, and to the best of your ability, understand it. I mean, they could be very young potentially, so it might be difficult for them to fully understand the whole picture, but there's a way to talk to them about it in simple terms, right? But that validates their experience and it helps them to feel seen and heard, which is really the key. That's what all kids need. And so that validation is actually a really empowering tool that parents can easily do for them. And then, like I said, understanding they probably will need more time with you if you're the safe caregiver. And it's natural. And there might be even a little bit of regression. Stella, you mentioned that it's possible that kids are going through a traumatic experience. Unfortunately, I'm here to tell you they are 100% going through a traumatic experience, every single one of them, because it's just a really stressful, difficult time. Kids aren't used to, like you mentioned, Stella, being locked in the house, not having access to maybe loved ones, family, or just their everyday environments that they were used to with their peers, being able to play, or in some cases being able to go outside. I know some parts of the world are on lockdown again for the second time, or maybe never stopped the lockdown. And so it's really important to have compassion for that. And, to the best of your ability, helping them to navigate that. Maybe some of that can be helped with virtual groups. I know that there are such resources that exist, but it's also important to not overload kids with too much screen time, right? So, and I really feel for parents because it is not easy. There's so much to juggle and so much to consider when making these decisions. So I would just strongly encourage you to take time, think it through, give yourself space, and do the best you can. And, please definitely reach out to an expert if you need to. And I have to also say, having the space and time, designating the space and time to practice your own self-care is the best thing you can do for your children. It means that you will have a full tank when you're dealing with them. So you're not going to be responding from a place of burnout and stress and having a knee-jerk reaction that could potentially, right, make the situation worse for them because they're already little and they're already having a difficult time processing everything and regulating their emotions. On top of it, you're modeling for them what it looks like to have healthy self-care practices because they're watching you all the time. So that's really, really important. I also have some actually tips both for hacks for busy moms, as well as how to support your kids through trauma on my website. I will be sure to share the link with Stella and she can post that. It's totally free. Feel free to go and download that for yourself so that you have that as a resource. But on top of it, I would just say advocating for your kids, right? Anything within your power. Maybe it has to do with accommodations from school. Maybe it has to do with talking to a family member and advocating. And, they're really relying on you if you are, the main person. And if they don't have somebody else, or like Bella mentioned, if there is an abuser in the home, they're really relying on you to keep them safe. So making sure that as best as you can, you create that safety for them and that you are ensuring their well-being is really of utmost importance. Everybody needs one hero, right? Some person in their corner, and especially kids. And it will go such a long way, to really help them through the process and to help them through the healing.
Mm-hmm. That's really awesome advice. Virtual assistants in the group, please give me a thumbs up. And let's just appreciate Maria, because those nuggets, by the way, you don't get them anywhere but in Virtual Assistant Africa. And Maria offers parental coaching at a fee, but she made time just to teach us some of these things that we need to do. And I'm sure you're learning a lot along the way. And in case you didn't even know, we are having a parental coaching session as we are speaking. This is how it looks like, a virtual parental coaching session for all of you parents out there. So maybe, Maria, you can tell us, why is it important for parents to take up parental coaching? Because I can tell you for a fact, what you're telling us right now, I didn't know. Just because I'm a parent, it does not automatically mean that I have all the answers to all the solutions and the best answers on how to raise our children. So I think parental coaching is a bit foreign to most of us, maybe. So maybe you can just educate us very briefly about the importance of parental coaching, and also where we can find people like you. Where can we find you? Should we require your services, or should we know somebody who is going through a difficult parenting season, working from home, or maybe their children are going through a traumatic experience and they need to reach out to somebody? And of course, because of the pandemic, we also advise that you social distance and you access these services virtually, like what Maria is doing. So maybe you can just tell us the importance of parental coaching, and then where can people find you? Should they require your services?
Absolutely. So I think it's important to remember, Stella, you mentioned that you said this is new to you. Well, this was very new to myself as well when I was initially getting my certification. And I think the reason is that when I'm just going to go ahead and assume, Stella, that we're close kind of in age a little bit. I think, when we were being parented, I'm from Moscow, Russia, and then I moved to America when I was a kid. And I can say with pretty much certainty that it was a very different experience being parented back then. There was a lot of kids are, seen and not heard, and you have to stay in line, and I'm the authority figure. And what we now have learned through various advancements in science and medicine is that those strategies are just not as effective as we initially thought, right? Because what we want to do is we want to create an inherent drive in our children of how to function without having to tell them all the time what to do, right? And that's really helping them towards self-actualization eventually, which I think we all strive for as humans. We want to have a purpose, we want to have a drive, we want to have a happy, healthy life. And so the way that I have learned that is not only effective and prevents a lot of power struggles, a lot of challenging behaviors, it does away with all of that, and it allows you to actually enjoy your kids and enjoy parenting, and it makes it so much more easy and so much more fun and so much more calm, which is what I think all of us are probably looking for. And understanding, it's a journey. But the beauty of coaching, as opposed to, for instance, therapy, is that it really helps to, it's a collaborative approach. So for instance, if we're working together, it's not just me telling you, right? Like I can certainly provide some education and guidance and point you towards resources, but it's also about identifying things that are no longer serving you or things that aren't working. And it's helping you to identify what things would be beneficial to change just in your perspective, right? Or how to create better habits that help you to have more peace, more calm, feel more in control, believe it or not, but without that power struggle or without being that, kind of wrestling the child to the ground or wrestling the problem to the ground, because we've learned that that really just doesn't work and it takes so much energy and it doesn't feel good, right? Like who wants to be yelling at their kids or fighting with their kids? It just, as parents, it just feels really terrible. And it's added stress that we can easily avoid. So that's really the benefit of coaching, is that all of that goes away. You have an objective person to discuss things with that can help you identify how you're arriving at your decisions and perhaps offer a new perspective of where you're the hero of your own story, of what might be more beneficial and more in line with what you actually want, right? And how you actually view things. And so you can find me at www.restorativeparentcoaching.com. I'm happy to provide you with resources, direct you to potentially other coaches if necessary, or other resources if necessary. So, like I said, I'm just really happy to be a resource, but this is my passion and I love to empower women and parents, and really just let them know that there is a better way. And a lot of us just hadn't been exposed to it because it wasn't there yet. The information wasn't around when we were young, but now we know better and we can do better, and we can do better for our kids.
Amazing. Virtual assistants, I hope you have really benefited from this and you're going to be different parents going forward. And I can attest that for sure, when I attended a coaching session with Maria, I am a better parent because my children are small, they're under 5 years. And I didn't know that I was supposed to spend quality time with them, literally. Just because we're in the same room or in the same office doesn't mean that I'm parenting. So what I do nowadays, I take my little one, we stay with him for like 20 minutes, just bond, play, talk. And you know what? It's been improving because the children sleep better, or they're less naggy, they're less cringy. And so thanks to actually being humble enough to accept the services of a parental coach. And just the parting shot, Maria, what is the one advice that you would give us as parents who are working remotely?
With regard to what specifically, Stella?
With regards to parenting, like the one thing we need to do in order to balance our life,
yes,
and our work-life balance and parenting at the same time.
Yeah, I think staying in the present moment is the very best thing, right? I'm sure that you probably, just being business owners and professionals, have probably recognized the value of your intuition. And the best way that we can access that intuition is by staying present. So if that means that maybe you need 5 minutes of just quiet when you're drinking your coffee and you're totally unplugged, if that means that you need to meditate for 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, or do yoga, or whatever your own routine is, it's like, that's the self-care that I'm referring to. But just being able to connect with yourself first before you connect with anything or anyone else in the morning, to allow you to identify what that centered feeling looks like, so that you can stay present throughout your day. And I promise that not only in your relationships, but in your business, it's really going to pay off, because I really think that's the key to kind of everything, right? Then we can bring our whole self to whatever the situation calls for, and we have access to all of our resources rather than just, a portion, a portion of ourselves.
Absolutely. Very true. And thank you so much, Maria, for making time for us here at Virtual Assistant Africa. And I hope, guys, you're going to take up the challenge that she has given us. I know I will. And let's see you again in the next show, and let's touch base on what has been working and what has not been working. So feel free to contact her. And if you have any questions, please write them in the comment section, and also like and share this. This will also be shared in our podcast, the Virtual Conversation Podcast. So you're welcome to invite more parents to listen to this and share and like. And welcome again next time to the next show. So it's a wrap. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much.